If you spare a little of your imagination, it is a film to describe to you the effect of cymatic frequencies on matter. The film you're about to see is a film to describe to you and explain visually the effect of cymatic frequencies on texture, structure, water, oil. You will see many things that answer many questions. The earth itself coming into existence. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. We are told that this is how the worlds began and how creation took shape. If we put that into the modern idiom and say that into the great voids of space came a sound and matter took shape. Please watch carefully.
About 15 billion years ago, there were no stars in the sky. There wasn't even a sky. All that existed was the primordial fireball. Primordial fireball. Primordial
Then,
fireball.
Something happened. In a flash, everything suddenly expanded. This was how it all began. The first moment of existence.
Tonight's talk is consciousness, creativity, and the brain. And if you have a golf ball-sized consciousness, when you read a book, you'll have a golf ball-sized understanding. When you look out, a golf ball-sized awareness. And when you wake up in the morning, a golf ball-sized wakefulness. But if you could expand that consciousness, then you read the book, more understanding. You look out, more awareness, and when you wake up, more wakefulness. It's consciousness. And there's an ocean of pure, vibrant consciousness inside each one of us. And it's right at the source and base of mind, right at the source of thought, and it's also at the source of all matter.
All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds this most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious and intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter.
Matter seems like a good place to begin. The solidity of the world seems totally indisputable. As a fixed thing that you can see and touch, your body is also reassuringly solid. But beginning with Einstein, modern physics has assured us that this solidity is a mirage.
All of physical matter, everything we have around us, is the result of a frequency. And what that also means is that if you amplify the frequency, the structure of the matter will change.
We can also use different shapes of state. Here we have a triangular plate with a crystal attached to its underside and produce a sonorous figure. We change to a higher note and see a rather more complicated figure. We use sand and lycopodium. The lycopodium moves to the center of the fields and takes up circular shapes. The sand forms the lines. Each material has its own special way of behaving. The sonorous figures represent stationary waves, but now we can also observe moving waves. Here, the sand is flowing in a current.
What is it that drives the rotational effect in our galaxies? What is it that drives the rotation of the planets? What is it that drives and impacts the rotation of Earth?
In vibrating glycerin, we see continuous waves which form the queerest figures. And yet, the extraordinary things we see here are simply and solely the effect of vibration.
Now, what we've seen up until now are single signals, single frequencies projected into matter. And what you're seeing here now are interference patterns of 2 or more frequencies resulting in a pulse. The pulse of the human heart, the pulse that drives the blood through the veins in your bodies. What is your heart responding to? Where does that pulse come from?
Quantum physics has revealed matter does not exist. The concept of substance arose from the philosophy of Aristotle, and from that concept came science's conception of matter. The fact of the matter is that the substance of the universe is consciousness. Belief that the substance of the universe is matter leads to what I call a fear-greed dichotomy, as people in their quiet desperation attempt to accumulate as many material possessions and riches as possible. In fact, the substance of the universe is consciousness. Therefore, it is behavior that is important.
Fear has a long and slow frequency vibration to it, while love has a very rapid and high frequency. To show that vibration is the very foundation of existence, Hans Jenne developed what is known as cymatics in the 1940s to show that when vibrations of sound are passed through a form of media, there is a set pattern that will follow. When the frequency increases, the media develops into a more complex pattern. Precisely what is happening to our Earth and to humanity. There are 64 possible codes of amino acids in our DNA structure made from 4 elements: carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. By any means of logic, we should have all 64 codes activated within our DNA structure. Yet we presently only have 20 active codes.
And these 64 possibilities, it appears that only 20 of these codes are turned on right now for us, the 20 amino acids. There is a switch that turns off and turns on where those coding sites lie, and that the switch for that turning off and turning on is what we call emotion. And this is the first time that we've ever seen the patterns of emotion directly physically linked to human genetic material. Well, fear is a long, slow wave of emotion. So this wave of fear is a long, slow wave and touches relatively few sites on this DNA. So an individual living in fear is limited to the number of antennae that they have available to them, whereas an individual living in the pattern of love, this is love in DNA, you can see it's a higher frequency, shorter wavelength. We have many more potential sites for coding along that genetic pattern. The information, this is amazing. This is the first time we've ever had a hard digital link between emotion and genetics.
This is the story of you. Who you are started with DNA inherited from your mom and dad. Your DNA makes up your genome, the genetic blueprint that makes you, you. Turns out, there's a higher level of complexity called the epigenome. Here's how it works. As you go through life making choices, your epigenome adds genetic tags to your DNA. Good lifestyle choices turn healthy genes on and unhealthy genes off.
Now, she talks about them in terms of healthy lifestyle decisions. But I have a friend of ours was studying biology and came across a very similar study, if not the same study. And she was talking about some sort of focus group that was done with people who had made poor lifestyle decisions, like committing adultery or murder. And apparently they found that in these focus groups, where they had a whole group of people who committed the same poor lifestyle decision, they all had a genetic marker on their DNA, like a scar, at the same point on their DNA. So everybody who committed adultery had the same genetic marker in the same spot on their DNA, a scar. Likewise, people who committed murder, they had a different mark in a different place. So could it be, I mean, when we talk about sin, they're referring to them as poor lifestyle decisions. Let's just call them sin. That's how our sin is actually passed on to the 3rd and 4th generation, genetically, through these, what she calls epigenetic markers. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not a biologist. I don't know enough about it to talk authoritatively, but I find it very interesting.
Dr. Emoto has conducted another interesting experiment. He placed rice into 3 glass beakers and covered it with water. And then every day for a month, he said, "Thank you" to one beaker, "You're an idiot" to the second, and the third one he completely ignored. After 1 month, the rice that had been thanked began to ferment, giving off a strong, pleasant aroma. The rice in the second beaker turned black, and the rice that was ignored began to rot. Dr. Emoto thinks that this experiment provides an important lesson, especially with regard to how we treat children. We should take care of them, give them attention, and converse with them. Indifference does the greatest harm.
Okay, today is day 76 of the rice experiment. And we'll have a look at how the rice is doing. Okay, here is the rice I speak positively to every day. And there is no green mold whatsoever. Just a little bit of white. But that's it. It looks all right. Not too bad. Okay, now for the rice I speak to negatively. It's just awful. Whole lot of green mold. It's gotten even darker. And green mold there. So there we go. So speak to negatively every day. And the ignored rice has gotten a whole lot worse. Now there's a whole lot more. And it's got, look at it's like brown and orange and white. A whole lot of mold. It's gotten like really brown. Horrible color. Anyways, so that's the rice I ignore. So find it really interesting after 76 days that the positive rice is still looking so good compared to these two. I mean, wow. So anyways, I'll keep you updated and probably go on with this for a bit longer. Keep you updated.
Today is March 27th, 2008, so because this year was a leap year, it's exactly 30 days from the day that we started our experiment. I think it's an hour ahead, but really not a huge deal. We did plan on videotaping every 5 days, but then we realized that that really wasn't necessary because the results would speak for themselves. Hence we have 30-day-old rice that says thank you on it. Perfectly white. It's not even yellow, I don't think. What do you think? It's white.
Looks good.
And then we have the yucky you fool rotted jar that makes me want to vomit looking at it. It's like stuck in there. Look at that. Oh, I'm so not cleaning it. Okay, that's disgusting. And these were done on the same exact day. And we just spoke to them at least once a day, and these are the results of the words that we spoke to them. Thank you and you fool. And really it's amazing, and it's been a great experience doing this because anybody who's come into our home has wanted to know what this is and why it's doing this. And we've been able to explain, nice floor shot there, I can't say his name, I'm sorry, Masaru Emoto's experiment, and have become really interested, and other people are doing this experiment, and I hope that our efforts with this rice experiment has brought more knowledge and more people will be willing to try it and think about the words that they use in daily life, as simple as thank you and you fool, which nobody can really say thank you enough. So we're considering possibly trying this again with other words just to see the difference, and it's really disgusting. So thank you.
"13 days of love and 13 days of negative energies. If this is what happens to a rice, what happens to you when you have good or bad thoughts?"
existence solely and completely to sound.
eyes. In a happy home, I was